Hello, my friends. Bonjour à tous, and welcome to a new episode of Learning from the Masters, where today we are going to talk about Francisco Goya, Francisco de Goya. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, so to all our Spanish friends, please correct my pronunciation of whatever Spanish words I have to say during this live stream, and I hope you're having a wonderful time. And today we are going to jump into the dark obsessions of a genius painter, a quite unique painter as well, and it's gonna be really cool. So, all right. So let's just start. Let me just check if everything is correct. All right. Apparently it's working. Just checking. Okay. All right. Billy Goat, Emily, Ashley. Hello, everyone. And weekly KZU. Been meaning to catch you online for the longest time. Welcome here. There you go, you have it. All right, and we are going to talk about Goya, which is a great artist. Very, very unique in so many different ways. Like the complexity of the man is hard to grasp, really. And I'm not, again, as always, I'm not saying that I'm an expert on Goya, and even I'm not sure that experts on Goya can really tell a lot that would be sufficient to explain most of his work. I'm not saying that I know much about Goya, but I'm going to just have a look as an artist would do, and hopefully try to learn something out of it. Hello, Petka. And yeah, wonderful journey through the life of an artist who had a dramatic turn in his life. Like there are two Goyas, if you want. There's a nice and like Goya that paints nice paintings with, like gentle things. There's a court Goya that was paid to paint the king and queens of Spain. So you have like nice, happy sceneries where most people would say there is more than what it looks. So this was the early Goya, if you want. And many people would say, yeah, you can spot some early signs of the last Goya. So let's take it from the beginning. So Goya was grew up in a humble family, and he went to be an artist, and he first started in the court as a designer for tapestry. So I'm not sure, you'd have to check, but I'm not sure, but this kind of painting that you're seeing right now was, let's say it like this, the initial design for tapestry. So they would do tapestry within the castle, like the palace, and they had a manufacturer of tapestry, and they would have artists come and like design the color work and the composition for the tapestries, and do the drawings, do the paintings, and they would paint life size, like same size, like you could say cartoons, for the tapestry workers to reproduce. And these were examples of these. I think this one is. So this was the early Goya, like pretty nice sceneries and happy life. And much later, you would have a much more gruesome Goya with like weird depictions of morbidity, insanity, I don't know, like there's like so many examples, like, you know, the Capriccios, the caprice, which means the someone from Spain would have to explain, but I think it means, like in French, it means caprice, which is it's not. I think it's not the same meaning as the word. So you have to look up for the correct meaning of the word Capriccio. So you would have this type of thing depicting like weird visions, like sort of hallucinations, with some really cool and unique etchings. And as well, you have the disasters of war. I don't know if I have any here. Yeah, you have the famous etchings for the disasters of war, where you have some very unique depictions of cruelty and violence. And this is a famous one. It's not even like the most gruesome. You have some like very gruesome views that were really famous. So let's come back to my point. Like there's a huge turn in Goya's life, and this turn is linked to an illness happening in Goya's life. So before we talk about it, let me just say hello to everyone. Hello McPaulins. Hello G2. Cengiz. Hey, how you talk about pain consistency or constantly? What do you mean? Man, talk about pain consistency. I don't know if I can, like, you mean the consistency of paint when you paint? Is it, I don't know, what can I say? Fluid? Not fluid? I don't know. You have to be more specific if you want me to talk a little bit about this. And today I want to talk about Goya with everyone. Salut Béranger. And Lucho, which explains, okay, capriccio means a desire of something inconvenient. For example, when you want to buy something you know for sure you won't even use it, but you do it anyway. Yeah, so it's kind of the same meaning in French then. Like you would say, it's a kid that does a caprice in French, would be a kid like that would just like cry in a store because he wants something, like he wants a toy and he's like crying, something like this. I don't know if it's the same in Spanish. So basically, what would capriccio mean in how Goya uses like his imagination to make all of his etchings. What would you think? Like you that know the word better than me for sure. What would you say the meaning is, like relating to Goya? Like this type of things. All right. Okay. Yes, medium use. I think they mean consistency in style. How much medium do we use after grisaille? Well, it depends. Capricious exist. Oh yeah, capricious exists in English. How much medium do we use after grisaille? It depends on yeah, it depends on the consistency you want, and consistency of your paint depends on what you prefer, really. I mean, you might want something stiff, you might want something very fluid. How much you use is just up to you, and how you can control your paint. It doesn't have to be too fluid, too runny, but still has to be fluid enough so that the brush can put it nicely on the canvas. I mean, it's just about, like, consistency of paint. It's just about getting used to it and having the feeling. Like, I mean, it's not something I can describe for you. It's something intimate that you have to find yourself. Like, what do you like to paint with? Do you like to paint with very stiff, buttery paint? Or do you like something very fluid? All right, next question. Do you know Roberto Ferri? No, sorry, I don't. What do you think his medium is? I have no idea. So, all right, let's change views, and going to, let me just come back here. All right, hold on. I'm just opening a file. I'm just going to, okay. All right. And let's change here. All right, so this was the first, like, early Goya, and one of the early paintings he used to do. So, like, pretty classical, you could say. And it was the art of the time. I mean, any artist has to produce the art that is expected. So, the early beginnings of Goya, he was painting, he was painting this kind of thing because he was expected to paint nice sceneries for tapestries. So that's what it did. Like, I mean, it would show that to someone, except maybe something in how the shape of the head is modeled. Maybe someone could guess it's a Goya, but I mean, it's not what Goya was famous for. I mean, pretty simple color composition. Let's simplify the composition just to find. Let's simplify just to check how the colors would work. I wanted to add a filter. Okay. It's taking time. It's 20% right now. It's super long. Sorry, because I'm doing many things at the same time. I wanted to have a simpler 40. It's you can see it. It's running. I wanted to try this to see what we could get from this. So let me check if someone is here in chat that I didn't see. I looked at my body painting video. That's so good. I don't like Goya's painting, sorry. Alright, wow. That's didn't know it would be that much. Alright, so pretty simple color composition. Blue, like pretty standard blue. Keep in mind that these were colors that were supposed to be reproduced with a tapestry. So pretty standard yellow, blue, dark red, green. I mean, yeah, pretty basic. Okay. Composition, really simple. I mean, that's not the main work that you could expect from Goya. We're going to jump ahead in time. So Goya is evolving in his life, and later in his life there's a sudden illness that's happening to him, and which is not necessarily what is depicted right here. This is a famous etching, but it's not necessarily related to the illness, but it's the illness is a key to understand what happened in Goya's art. It's a key because, well, first of all, it's unknown. I mean, maybe if it was happening today, if it happened today, we would know exactly what happened. But at the time, like, it was, I mean, there's no way to really know what exact type of illness affected him. And he would get nauseous, he would have vertigo, he would have like sort of pain hallucinations, and most importantly, he became deaf. He became completely deaf. I don't know if he became deaf immediately. Hi, Carrie Jones. I don't know if he became deaf immediately, or if it took some time and got worse and worse. But anyway, the thing is that he couldn't hear anymore. And I think that this was the main turn in his life, of course. He took it really bad. I mean, of course, what everyone would do. And that was a big turn in his life, and I'm going to explain why in a moment. What do you think Caravaggio's medium and what ratio? I don't know. I think you could research on that maybe, but it's going to be pretty technical and not necessarily what's best for you. I mean, you can get some modern medium, and this is probably what Caravaggio would get if it was with us today. I'm not sure, like, you have to get the same medium to have the same effect. That's my point. And Lucio, I'm using Krita, which is a kind of an alternative to Photoshop, where you can draw and you have tons of brushes here, and it's completely free. So it's kind of like, for those who don't know, it's kind of like Photoshop. You can draw. I don't have a graphic tablet right now, but if you guys want to make donations, you have the Streamline I don't know how it's called. So yeah, I can have fun right now with the things, and I can do all sorts of imaging things. So if I ever need to, right now I'm not sure I'm gonna need it. Yeah. And yeah, but it's free if you're interested, Lucho. It's completely free. It's working well so far. I like it for a free software. You have a nice color wheel here, which is pretty cool. See, a nice artistic color wheel. Lots of cool things. Please make a video for medium and effects. Well, I have a video. That's my oil painting course. It's on my website. You can follow the link. You can just follow the link in the description box, and you have all the information. And hello, Barbara. What was I talking about? I have to not digress too much, or I'm gonna lose track. Okay, yeah. Well, so sometimes in like the middle of his life, Goya had a serious illness that left him almost completely deaf, and that's a huge turning point for an artist. So we all know about Beethoven, but like what does deafness means? What does deafness mean for a visual artist? What could it mean? And how much would an artist change due to the fact that they cannot hear anymore? See, that's a question, and that's happening with Goya. And I think the key to understand his work is that his deafness only made him more, only made him more into his own thoughts, in his own imagination, and of course his own fantasy and his own hallucinations. He became much more aware of the delirium in his head, even though he was a big believer of reason. So the text here reads, I'm not gonna try to read it in Spanish because it's gonna be too bad, but I think the meaning is: the dream of reason produces monsters, if I'm correct. And Goya was a strong believer of human reason. Like, he was living in the years of enlightenment, where reason was the big thing, like with thinkers like Immanuel Kant, Voltaire. Everyone was promoting reason over superstition, faith, and all. But Goya also was was strongly attached to how reason could produce good things. He was just very aware that reason is actually weak. So you have here someone, an artist, maybe a writer, maybe someone doing something else, which which would be the representation of reason. This would be the representation of reason, the work done here. And this is good. And I think the idea here is that reason is good and all, but it's just in danger constantly of like being assaulted by delirium, hallucinations, superstition, sorry. So reason is good, but it's weak. And for someone of this time, it was a super unique thing to cover as a topic. Nobody would cover this type of themes at the time. So pretty unique in terms of expressivity and how he covered things. So whenever reason is asleep, you have all the phantasma coming from within, actually, but assaulting him as if they were coming from without. So everything is in this man's head, but it still feels like everything is real in the outside world, assaulting him and ready to, I don't know what these owls or bats are trying to do, these monsters. They don't really look nice. Especially this one, holding a pen and what? Giving it to him or trying to stab him with it? Hard to say, right? So this illness made him much more aware of these the thin line between sanity and insanity, like psychologically. There's a very thin line, and the fact that he couldn't hear anymore made him much more aware of all the delusion that can happen in a human's mind. And I thought he just, because he couldn't hear anymore, he could not communicate as well with the rest of the world. So he became more aware of what was going through his head, and he opened the door to his own delusion. He started drawing and representing what was happening in his head. I read he had apoplexy. Well, Fenris, I don't know what apoplexy means, but if you tell me that this is what's happening, I take your word for it. It made him draw deeper into himself. Exactly. I would say even because there's a nice play on word here, Barbara. It made him draw deeper into himself. It drew him deeper into himself, and he drew what was deeper into himself. I don't know if it makes sense, but yeah, it's sort of what happened. So a famous etching from the Capriccios, if I am correct. Well, this one is very famous. So it was to kind of illustrate the turning point in Goya's life. But let's go a little bit deeper, right? In what delirium can do. This nice play on words. Thank you. I just made it up. But this was because Barbara started to draw deeper into himself. And I think this is an actual play on words, but that really explains a lot. So it's not just a play on words. This one is called Courtyard with Lunatics. So this one is, I find absolutely, this one like wrecks my mind, seriously. First of all, because I absolutely love the colors. This is really the type of color scheme um, I am super attracted by. And because it's well, I think the word is simply insane. So this is what the people are doing, and this is, remember, Goya was having vertigo. He was nauseous. He had pain because of his illness. He didn't know really what was happening. He didn't have like the perfect life. He was, I don't know if he was really a loner. He had a wife, I think, but like his mind was really affected by his illness, and he was painting what he maybe feared was going to happen to him, or maybe what he thought was inside his head. I mean, it's funny to think about all these faces that are super weird, but extremely powerful, because you know that the guy is slowly turning insane as well. But again, he's painting it. He's using this state of his mind to represent something. Oh, apoplexy. I don't know if it helps, but it's called, okay, accident vasculaire cérébral. Okay, yeah. Yeah, it would explain a lot, actually. I get completely what it means now. Okay, thank you. And thank you for being an official translator on the medical lingo, Health Fenris. You're now the official translator for any scientific and medical term that we're going to use. Can you give me an idea of the size of the figures in this one? I don't know what meta I have on this picture. I don't have enough data. I lost the... No, I cannot say. You would have to look it up on Google somewhere and find the actual museum, because I had this picture on my computer, but I don't have dimensions, so I can say. Do you like this painting? In Koba. Yeah, I do like this painting. Yeah, and I think it's creepy. That's exactly the point. It's really creepy. It really makes you feel uncomfortable. And oops, sorry. Didn't mean to do that. And I think this is exactly the point. I think this is exactly the point. So first of all, you have this big light coming from the sky, because apparently there's no roof, but it means something. This light means something, and it's extremely powerful. Because I mean, they could just escape, right? I don't know if they're in some kind of prison. Well, it doesn't say prison, it says courtyard. It would be hard to climb, right? I guess. But it means that, so it has to represent something. Maybe it's reason, but it's, I wouldn't say that this is a skyline. Doesn't look like sky. It looks like something totally artificial, like something out of this world. And this, I find this simple part of the painting absolutely amazing if you compare it to the rest of the composition. Next, this light seems to be pretty strong and powerful, right? How come there's so much shadows right there? I mean, the light composition is super artificial, and you have a very strong dark area right here, which is what makes you uneasy, because makes you uncomfortable, because it's not supposed to be this dark. And then you have all the faces, and of course they are creepy and they are weird. And this is exactly why this is such a great painting. I mean, who would dare to paint something as hideous as this? I mean, you have to be drawn by something very strong that really means something to you to draw such hideous faces. Because what's the point if it doesn't have a very strong, deep, and grave meaning? What's the point in painting these guys? It's because it might have had a very important connection to what Goya was thinking at the time. It's like a simulation or otherworldly, I agree. Why is that girl sitting there like an idiot? Like, lunatics means crazy people. Oh, thank you, Mark. 32.7 centimeters by 43.8 centimeters. And Mark, which is our official converter for units of measurements, also has the dimensions in inches. So it's a 12.9 inches by 17.2 inches. Thank you, Mark. Yard with lunatics in Spanish, corral de locos. Oil on tin plate. Oh, tin plate, which is probably why this is so gray, green gray. I didn't know that. Wow. Do I think it's made with golden ratio? Yeah, you'd have to check that. I don't have the courage to, like, you can check it with the diagonals and all. There's like a calculation. You can then split this part, take this part, and I don't remember exactly, but you can check whatever is the golden ratio. I'm not sure it was really something that important for the realization of this painting. How about in cubits? Okay. And it's funny, like the shapes in the shadows as well. I wonder if let's try to just sorry. Let's try. Oh no, it's not on a good layer. Sorry. Just trying to see if we can see a little bit more about whatever is happening in there in the shadow. Let's push it a little bit higher. Oops. Okay. I just wanted to have a view to see if whatever is in the shadows is not really though. I mean, this figure is, I don't know if this guy is holding some sort of, I mean, is this someone with a hat? What do you think? Is it like a lady crying? What do you see? Maybe I'm just going insane, right? Maybe it's just me going insane. Yeah, there is something in the shadow, but I mean, they're really just suggested, right? So, like, this lady, and I think this one is kind of the same type of figure, only the darker version. Hard to say, hard to explain, and I think this is exactly the point. So this is the real picture. Is or was painting on metal surfaces like tin plate common? Why or why not? Not common. There was some fads, you could say. At some times, like you had some periods where you have lots of them. It was mostly an alternative to wooden panels, because like wooden panels, they are great. You can like do very detailed work, small work, and all. The thing is, they often used to crack because, I mean, you know, at the time, places were a lot more subjected to humidity, and so you'd have many old panels would just bend completely or crack, and metal was a nice alternative because it didn't suffer as much, but it oxidizes, so it's a different thing. It produces some type of color on the painting. Like if you paint on copper and you don't prime it, you don't prepare it with garlic, because like to paint on copper, you can prepare the foil with garlic. So if you didn't do that, it would oxidize completely and become completely green, blue-green, which is kind of awesome if you think about it. But if you want the painting to stay the same, no, it's not. And metal has never been a common thing. It has been done like throughout history. But no, it's been done for a long time. It's never been really that common. I'm trying to recall if there are some examples. Like the most common, the most famous example would be Rembrandt's paintings on copper. And you have other examples as well. But other than that, no, painting on metal is not that common. And painting on tinfoil, not that common as well. As far as I'm aware. You're looking at Francisco José Reséndez's work on metal now. Most likely it was a man, as they wouldn't usually throw in women with men in mental asylums, which Goya painted right. Well, Verouche, I agree with you, but is it a mental asylum? Is it? It just says courtyard with lunatics. I mean, it's a question, assuming that it is even a real place, and I think it's not a real place. I think it's the deepest part of Goya's head, and I think this is what's fantastic when you go so deep into a man's psyche. So he was not able to communicate. He was still experiencing pain and suffering, and he used that to produce paintings. Mm-hmm. You said shadows have to be transparent, highlights have to be opaque. Is it correct all shadows have to be transparent? No, not necessarily. Do whatever you want. Generally speaking, it's better this way, but it doesn't have to. Doesn't have to. It's just that if you want to have highlights that are not opaque, they are going to be kind of weak. Well, it's a hospital. Read Foucault's Madness and Civilization. Yeah, I read it. When I was a student. Comment expliquez-vous qu'il y ait de nos jours tant de peintres et si peu d'œuvres? Alors, je pense qu'il y a beaucoup d'œuvres, mais que il y a eu une époque où l'image était quelque chose de rare, et donc on l'a conservée de manière extrêmement précautionneuse, et on les emmagasinait comme des trésors, quoi, et elles s'arrachaient à de bons prix. Aujourd'hui, chacun peut faire des images comme il veut, et puis qui ça intéresse, vraiment. Donc on se focalise sur quelques artistes célèbres, et puis tout le reste des images sont passées dans le cinéma, dans le jeu vidéo, dans les autres médias, et ont quitté le monde des arts représentatifs. Florent, can you talk about the painting technique and maybe compare it to other painters? No, I cannot talk about the painting technique. I would not dare to talk about how Goya painted, especially this one is on metal, so I couldn't dare about suggesting anything about the technique. I'm just going to talk about subject matter and style today, because I think that, like, first of all, it was not that important. I mean, it's not that important to understand Goya, and I could not, like, especially on this one, I could not talk about technique. Maybe on this one though. So it's still a sort of classical painting by Goya, which is Maya or Maja. I don't know if it's Maya Desnuda. There's another version which is clothed, which is here. So you have two versions. This one is vestida. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing right. And yeah, clearly there's much more care and work put in the nude version, which YouTube is going to flag me for, but I don't care. Now I think this one was before the illness struck him, and let's check the traces. This traces of underpainting. So I think there was if the colors here are correct, there was probably an underpainting, a grisaille underpainting. I mean, I see traces of cool underpainting, but I cannot be sure. Yeah, I would say, yeah. It feels like it. So cool underpainting and grisaille, and then more layers. See, when I was you don't really see the brush marks right there, but when I talk about lights that have to be opaque, see opaque here, opaque paint, much thinner paint, transparent midtones, transparent shadows, and the lights are applied on top, like scumbled on top of it, making it very opaque. See, highlights, more opaque. Oh, some red, finally. Because the entire thing except the is probably only some umbers and like earth tones, transparent earth tones, glazed. And right here some pink. I think this was an artist choice, because like this looks very wrong physically speaking, but in Goya's imagination it probably was important. There's no neck as well. I don't know if it's a choice. It's It's not the most beautiful nude. But it's a good one. Okay, alors, by the way, there was no uniform clothing, so people would wear whatever clothes. Mais tous ces peintres... Qui un portrait, qui un paysage? Bah oui, mais je sais bien, Pascal, mais qu'est-ce que tu veux Oui, ben je sais, Pascal, mais c'est en effet, mais... Ben, il faut simplement continuer à peindre des tableaux, et puis et peindre des choses, et y mettre du cœur, et essayer de transformer le monde de l'art, et puis c'est tout, ça va revenir, c'est par période. Ben, vous-même qui êtes là, je sais pas, est-ce que je fais des œuvres, est-ce que je me contente d'en parler sur le net? Pour le moment, je sais pas, honnêtement. The warmest colors. Pour le moment, je parle sur le net, ça c'est sûr, à l'heure actuelle. The eyes are very white. Yeah, they're very white, and I think too white. And I think it's a very idealized version of whatever Goya was seeing. The head is awkward. I thought he was a war artist. No, he painted some scenes of war. So he has a very famous series of work. So the first series of etchings, which is famous, is the Capriccios, and the second one is Disasters of War, which is this series where he does etchings on what happened when Napoleon invaded Spain. On devrait pourtant s'attendre d'une personne aussi versée dans l'art, du peintre, la création d'une œuvre authentique. Serait-ce un trait de notre époque, faire parler de soi en parlant? Ça me pose une colle, Pascal. Je sais pas, en tout cas, je parle là avec les gens pour le plaisir. Après, le reste du temps, j'essaie de faire œuvre à ma manière. Mais c'est pas facile tous les jours de faire œuvre, ça prend beaucoup de temps. Comme disait Baudelaire, l'art est long et le temps est court, donc le reste du temps, on parle. It's a very tense pose from the shoulders. Yeah, the pose is completely artificial, and everything in the previous pose is completely artificial. Je m'étonne du nombre de ressources éducatives et matérielles dont on dispose aujourd'hui en matière de peinture et du manque cruel de profondeur des ouvrages qui sont réalisés. Mais c'est pour ça que chacun doit s'y mettre, Pascal. Et chacun doit essayer de faire la meilleure chose possible. Et moi, j'essaie à ma manière. Et ça, pour le coup, c'est pas quelque chose dont que je peux exposer ou je peux en parler en direct, pour le coup. La plupart des choses que je fais... et qui font œuvre, c'est très difficile de les mettre comme ça. C'est pour ça que je parle d'œuvre ici, pour discuter avec les gens. Je parle d'œuvres d'autres artistes, pour le coup. C'est un peu plus facile que de livrer son œuvre propre, parce qu'elle n'est pas forcément prête au bon moment, et que il reste plus que le choix de discuter et d'en parler un peu avec les gens. Hey Mike, we had a power outage, high winds. I thought he depicted true battles. Isn't there a place in Spain with his work? Like, there's lots of places in Spain with his work. And the most famous one, of course, would be like this one, I guess. Non, toute réflexion est bienvenue, Pascal, il n'y a pas de souci. Mais j'essaye, hein, je suis dévoué à la tentative peut-être vaine de faire œuvre moi-même. Hein. C'est pas simple tous les jours. Mais je pense que vous faites pareil, certainement, que tu fais pareil, donc c'est pas quelque chose qu'on peut faire comme ça et puis et c'est pas si simple d'en parler aussi et d'expliquer son œuvre. C'est pour ça que souvent, quand on va expliquer des choses, on va plutôt expliquer des techniques plutôt que sa propre œuvre à soi. C'est très difficile d'expliquer sa propre œuvre. It's not really war, isn't it? That's a murder of civilians, yeah, by soldiers. That's a murder of defenders of the city, that civil defenders, like civilians that try to defend their city against the army. Sorry, is this in French or English? I can't keep up with French. It's 2 languages. Whenever someone speaks in English, I answer in English, and whenever someone speaks in French, I answer in French. Goya gave you the nuts and bolts of conflicts and the horror of war. Hi Shivan. Merci Pascal. All right, let's have a look at some more of these paintings of insanity and delirium. This one is called Saturnus devorating. Is it a word in English? The Spanish Saturno devorando a su hijo. So, which is Saturn, which is eating his own son, and it's a myth. Like it comes from the Greeks, where Saturn, which is the god of both like time and melancholia, eats his son. Well, which is like for the Greeks, it was it was conveying the idea that time, which is Saturn, or Uranus in no, is it the same? No, not Uranus. Kronos. Sorry, Kronos in Greek. Which eats their own, like the time is eating its child, which is time that produces something and consumes it at the same time. See? So this is the idea, but never before had it been depicted with such gruesome, in such a strong sense of delirium, anxiety, fear, and horror. I mean, it's probably one of the most trashy painting ever. I mean, normally you would have this theme covered by other artists before, but generally Saturn or Kronos was represented as an old man, like athletic old man, idealized body, a gray beard, and generally some symbols of time to make it more allegoric. But right here, like, there's nothing fancy. It's just something gruesome, and I mean, it's hard to understand that it's even depicting the myth of Satan. Because if you didn't know that, I mean, who would tell you? What would tell you that this is Satan? You would probably just think this is something from a horror show. Devouring, sorry. The prophecy said that Saturn would get dethroned, so he got paranoid and ate all his children until Zeus. See you, Cengiz. Heavy metal album cover. Yeah, it would work really well. I would not be surprised if a heavy metal band would have used this picture. Do you think it would have been referred straight to the myth if you didn't have the title? I'm not sure. Because at the time, you'd have to place some attributes of the myth or the allegory that you want to paint, like something like a. There are some codified attributes of various gods and ideas that you can paint. But right here, it's hard to even say anything about it. I'm not sure, like, without the title, would you understand the meaning? Yeah, anyway, so it still shows like how Goya was affected by his mind turning into insanity. I don't know if it worked as a sort of of exorcism for him to paint like this, so that he would not become like this, or if he actually became as sick as some of his most gruesome and delirious paintings. I have no idea on that. If I don't know, I don't remember exactly how bad he finished, like at the end of his life, how bad his insanity got in the end. I'm doing great. This is probably one of the hardest painters to discuss. Bravo. And in 2 languages. Yeah, it's like there's even nothing to discuss. What do you want to say? I mean, it's all said right here. I mean, the more powerful the painter, I think, the less words are needed to talk about. And with Goya, you could leave all the works aside. I mean, many painters today make like gruesome things and have like huge books not made by them explaining why their work is so genius, but like normally a good, strong and powerful work can explain itself. Even if you don't know the title, even if you don't have anything, you know that this represents madness, this represents insanity, this represents the fear of dying, the fear of being eaten by time, being eaten by illness, being eaten by pain. This represents the anguish that time is running out and you're only devouring yourself in a way. I mean, this look itself is probably how Goya was feeling at this exact moment. And you don't have to know that this is the myth of Satan, because it's not really relevant to explain the strength of this painting and the violence of this painting. The myth is just a pretext to cover such a violence, to convey this very strong idea onto the canvas. But it doesn't have to be explained. It's pretty self-explanatory. Many modern artists like today would need someone to explain why is it good. I mean, probably lots of things have been written on this, but it doesn't need all these words to be strong and to be understood. And this one is a famous one as well. It's called Dog Climbing. I think the title is even ambiguous. I don't remember the exact title. So for me, I just have dog. It's a dog climbing from the other side of a hill, apparently. But many people also see the dog being buried alive by some moving sense, for instance. Chronos means time. Chronos was a titan. Yeah, titans were the generations before the Greek gods, like the traditional gods. So Chronos was basically Zeus' father, and which translated into Roman mythology was Saturn, and being the father of Jupiter. It's sometimes hard to keep track between the Greek names and the Roman names. Hi Zayn. Utilise-t-il la même palette que Velázquez, celle que l'on voit dans les Ménines? Je n'en ai aucune idée, Pascal. Je pense qu'il devait avoir quelque chose de similaire, avec assez peu de couleurs. Mais en effet, oui, il ne devait pas utiliser énormément de couleurs. Je pense que ça ne l'intéressait pas tant que ça, d'ailleurs, la couleur. C'était plus un vecteur de forme plutôt qu'autre chose, pour le coup. Oui, essentiellement des terres, je pense. Oups. It's funny how the dog looks almost cartoonish. With a kind of goofy round eye. And I think that this was one of the last of Goya's paintings. One of the very last ones. I love the texture. But I agree, it's hard to talk about Goya. It's really hard because kind of forces you to not think. Kind of forces you to feel and to I don't know. It's hard to talk about it. I do agree. Did I get your Instagram message? I sent you a Caravaggio copy. No, I have too much work. I haven't been checking my Instagram for a while. So, no. Sorry. Sorry. All right. Yeah, guys, I think I'm going to leave you on this one. Yeah, Goya was not a very... an artist that was easy to talk about. Because I think you have to see for yourself, to really understand I mean, I'm not sure you can really understand, but you have to give it a try. You have to give it some time before you can understand what makes Goya such a strong artist. It's not, of course, not the most beautiful work. It's not the most elegant work, of course. It's not the most technical. It's not the best composition. It's not the best colors. But it's a very unique strength in conveying both the insanity of the inner self and the insanity of the outside world. And very few artists have been able to produce such a strong and powerful work in their entire lives. And Goya has, which explain why he still means a lot of things to many people today as well. All right. Okay, so thank you for being here, guys. The Saturn painting is a homage to Rubens. Okay. See you, Mike. See you, Verouge. See you, Barbara. Would I ever do this with anyone like Bosch or Beksinski? Maybe. Yeah, sure, probably. This could be a good idea. All right, see you, everyone. I see you on the next episode, and take care, and see you next time. Bye bye.